How's it going, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin, with my co-host to my right, Kylie Lewis, my co-host to my left, Rashad Pennell is going to join us shortly. It's KBR Sports, man. Like I said, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. Coming to you on WODU Studios, the best in college radio. I wasn't here on Monday, so you guys got a different version of the show with Rashad being playing the role as host and Khalid also being, his co-host along with Rudy, who normally is a routine guest on the show, who was kind enough to come in and fill in the spot as being co-host for Rashad and Khalid. So I appreciate that. So how was it for you, Khalid, Monday? How did everything go in the brother's absence?
It was good. It was all good. Got to introduce myself, my
Oh my
way.
gosh, this guy.
Once since people been missing.
Nobody's been missing it. That's nobody has.
I feel like they have.
Who? Tell me who.
Somebody. I know.
Somebody. You can't just say somebody. I need a name. I need name recognition here. You can't just say somebody.
We ain't get the names right now, but we'll be back at you.
No, that's like saying, oh yeah, I got a hater, and then telling me I say who, and you just say someone else.
But look, the thing is, when you got a hater, why would you want to know their name?
What you mean?
How would you want to know what your hater's name is? They're irrelevant.
Oh my gosh. So you can thank that person for your success.
I'm not gonna thank them. They just hate me.
They help motivate you to become so great. You don't believe so?
Nah. I just think they hate me.
You never
need to take a seat.
You never heard anybody say, you never heard
thank you for the haters.
Yeah, thank you for the haters. I thank my haters.
But look, do they know their names?
Do the people know the haters' names? It depends on who you're talking about. It depends on who you're talking about, man. Whatever. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure John Wall knows Colin Cowherd, who always is criticizing him, and he knows him. He probably knows him very well.
That's because he
criticizes John Wall all the time, and that's probably a routine person that he sees as a hater. So tell you, man, people probably do know that haters. You'd be surprised, bro. But man, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. But Eric, ladies and gentlemen, the topics for today. I forgot to tell y'all.
You can listen to us.
Yeah, y'all Rabble. Can listen to us on Rabble. You can also listen to us on Spreaker and iTunes. Mm-hmm. You can tweet us at our Twitter handle at KBR_sports, and so we can read your tweets out during the show, and also comment during the Rabble cast, so we can read your Rabble comments out loud, and you can chime in and also call in to join in on our debates at 757-683-4405. So you guys, we can hear y'all's perspective on different various topics.
And leave comments in the YouTube section as well.
Yeah, you can also leave the comments there too. And you also can directly comment to me or post to my Facebook. It's the same thing as my other stuff, Brendan Abbin. My Twitter is KingBA24, but you can comment to me on Facebook and let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me hear y'all's thoughts and opinions on topics, so I can tell them out loud on here on the show. So to get right into it, y'all, the topics are going to be, we're going to talk about John Wall's comments recently, talking about he feels like as though he's overlooked and he's a top 3 point guard. But some would say that he might have a point, but we'll talk amongst ourselves to see if John Wall actually is making a valid statement. Then we'll also get into talking about Kyrie Irving, and just asking the question: is he the right point guard for the Cavaliers? Because everybody pretty much at this point agrees that Kyrie is a star, but is he the right kind of star for the Cavaliers? Because sometimes the stars don't align in the right way. And then we'll get into talking about Tom Brady's recent contract extension that he signed yesterday that Adam Schefter reported on. And we'll ask the question, will Tom Brady last out through this extension? Because we've seen with older players, the play tends to fall off. So everybody, Father Time's undefeated, but will Tom Brady be the one player that seems to throw a crowbar into Father Time's plans? And then we'll also debate about whether the East and the Western Conference is the better conference in the NBA. To get things started off, though, like I said at the top of the topics, John Wall recently came out with comments saying that this is exactly what he told The Vertical in his comment. He said, "I still think I get overlooked sometimes. Some people say I'm not a top 5 point guard. In my opinion, I think I'm top 3. I only see 2 people ahead of me, Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. Right now, Steph is on a heck of a pedestal, and Russ is putting up triple doubles, and they're winning. That's my opinion. That's just being honest. But I just go out and compete. If I'm winning games, my game will do the talking for itself." So, and saying that, do y'all think John Wall has a point in feeling as though he's overlooked and that he feels as though he should be a top 3 point guard? Kyler, let me hear your perspective first. What do you think about John Wall's comments?
I do not agree with John Wall. My man said that Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry, the only two point guards better than him, and he just completely overlooked my man CP3. You can't just do that to Chris Paul. That man is nice.
You can't just do that to him.
You can't do that to my man Chris Paul. It is.
I feel you.
One thing that I've seen, like, since he brought up these comments, Stephen A. Smith, I know that he commented on rebuttal his whole point. He was like, well, see, those point guards that you named that were ahead of you, or the ones that they said were like top 5, like, because he was like, there was Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, and Damian Lillard ahead of John Wall. And he got a point, because all those players, all those point guards are part of teams that are basically in winning positions in the playoffs, like in the top positions in the playoff standings right now. And the Wizards in the Eastern Conference is at number 10.
Yeah.
So if you really could say he's the best point guard, Westbrook and Kevin Durant, they really the only two people on the team, and Damian Lillard and is like really carrying the whatchamacallit, Portland. So I think John Wall, I feel like he is getting overlooked just a little bit, but he's not better than those four. Well, not Damian Lillard now. The way Damian Lillard is performing now, he's still not better than Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, or Stephen Curry. And to say he's a top 3, I think that's a stretch. Top 5, I may give it to him, but he still don't put up the offensive numbers as much as the other ones. But he's a great defensive player. Got to give him that, and he does well through assists and stuff like that. So I do give him his props, but he can't be higher than Chris Paul. I can't give him that.
All right, Rashad, what do you think?
So when I'm looking at it, I see that John Wall is talented. No, don't get me wrong. John Wall is talented. I do think John Wall is a top 5 point guard, but I do not agree that he's number 3, as he says. Because I mean, for a team who's struggling, his stats aren't that impressive for a team that's struggling as well. Yeah, he's averaging 9.9 assists, 3rd in the league, but he's averaging under 20 points per game, which isn't spectacular. If you're supposed to be the star player of the team, you need to average a lot more than that, especially if your team is struggling to make the playoffs as it is in the East. So you're looking at that, and like you said, you look at Chris Paul, and you see like his player efficiency rating and his winning shares is a lot higher than John Wall's. Chris Paul's always been leading the league in assists per year. It's not the case this year. Rajon Rondo's leading right now with 12 assists per game. Even when Chris Paul doesn't have his other star players that complement him, he still goes out to perform. So that shows that Chris Paul is still a primetime performer when it comes to the league. So when you watch that, you also see that he's doing a lot. I feel like he still contributes more. See, John Wall has great defense, which puts him in combination with above 100 point guards. But at the same time, Chris Paul is top 20 in steals of all time. So Chris Paul's defense ain't no slouch either. That's why I feel like if you're gonna put it this way, it goes Chris Paul 3, and then then we go into the 4-5 discussion. But as I don't agree with John Wall saying he's number 3. Yes, he has great defense. It can be reckless at times. His speed can be a little reckless at times. He's not averaging enough points, and it's not even all about points. It's all about just what you do for as a team, as the quarterback of the team. So you see that, and you're like, okay, if you're the quarterback of this team, I need you to play like that. I need you to be that point guard for us that can control the game, control what we need to. And sometimes I just don't see John Wall doing it.
So so both of y'all deferred from John Wall being 3. And the funny thing is, I've talked to a couple of people that have made adamant cases that John Wall is a 3, is number 3 on the point guard list. Because one, this is the thing that people ask me the question. They're like, so what criteria are you asking under? Are you asking about best scoring point guard or best passing point guards? And I was sitting there, I was like, well, I mean, either way,
You're a point guard.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're saying, because if you want to talk about scoring point guards, then Kyrie Irving is up there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about scoring point guards, if you're talking about playmaking point guards, Kyrie Irving isn't even in the top 5 for playmaking point guards. But when you talk about, because you have the pass first point guard who is technically a John Wall and a Chris Paul. Then you have the shoot first point guards, which we've seen more often now with the Steph Currys, the Russell Westbrooks, the Derrick Roses, and the Damian Lillards. excuse me. But we've seen a lot more of these shoot first point guards, and it seems like these point guards are becoming more popular, and that their rankings are starting to become ranked higher. So, do you think that he's talking in terms of himself as a playmaker, or do you think he's talking about as an overall point guard? I mean, I guess he did list Steph and Russell above himself, but I feel as though if anybody were to say they're better than Steph right now, that's sacrilegious. So I feel like he was kind of forced to put Steph up there, and you can't say you're better than Russell Westbrook, because Russell Westbrook's averaging, or he's not averaging, but he's been posting triple doubles, and yeah, you know, he's pretty much 3 rebounds away from averaging a triple double. So you think that he's talking about himself as a, you know, as an all around point guard, and he knows he's one of the better defenders in the league, even though he's not in the top 20 for defensive win shares either. But that's neither here or there. And Chris Paul and other players are.
The team is bad though, so I mean, it's gonna be
I know. I know. But the defensive win shares is calculated from how better your team defense is when you're on the court, and he's not even in the top 20. So, but what do you guys think that he's talking about in standards of that? Per se, do you guys think that's what he's saying?
I feel like it isn't as him saying he's the top 3 point guard. I don't think he's saying I'm a top 3 scoring point guard. I think he's saying I'm the top 3 overall point guard. Yeah. And I feel the era we're in now dictates this, like, oh, because you can score, you're the best player because you can score a lot of points. That's not the case. It's still not the case. Like, the best point guards don't go for people who score a lot of points. If that was the case, Magic Johnson would not be one of the best point guards, because rarely did Magic Johnson score over 20 points for a season. So you look at stuff like that, and you're like, it's not about how many points you score. As you look at Steph Curry, Steph Curry doesn't average as much as many assists, but we see Steph Curry's impact on the floor. What did it do for the team? From what his IQ, from his vision, and from his scoring. So you look at stuff like that, and the same thing with someone like Russell Westbrook. As soon as he attacks the basket, you got to close in on that man, and he can find you on the wing. That's how he's getting triple doubles. So I mean, it's not like it's strictly scoring, but John Wall actually does it all for a team that he has to do it for. You see, he doesn't really have all those pieces. So for him to even average 9.9 assists with the team he has is impressive. You look at some of these people with better players, and they still can't do it, which shows. So I feel like he's saying overall point guard, because if you're saying a scoring point guard and that's your case, then I just don't want to hear that case. As for best point guard, like, what are you talking about? Scoring? Talking about playmaking? I'm talking about point guards.
Well, people will say that sometimes if you're a point guard averaging 30, 40 or something like that, well, not averaging 40, but if you're averaging a high point output, that'll put you as that's one reason. That's one of the knocks I remember Skip Bayless had against Russell Westbrook for his early part of his career, because he kept saying Russell Westbrook isn't a pure point guard. He's a shooting guard in a point guard's body. And a lot of times that people would make the case, this generation of point guards is a lot more. The one point guard that we see now in this generation that really isn't a scoring guard is Rajon Rondo. And he hasn't been brought up in this conversation. The man's leading the league in assists. So that shows scoring has something to do with it. Yeah. Because if we're not talking about Rondo and he's leading the league in assists, then I mean, scoring, and the only thing that we can't, because Rondo's team isn't in the playoffs, John Wall's team isn't in the playoffs, yet he's in this conversation. So what's the difference between the two? One has more points averages. If Rajon Rondo averaged 20 points or 19 points, we'd be talking about him too.
You're arguing between him.
You see what I'm saying?
We've seen the decline Rajon Rondo's been on.
But no, but this isn't a decline. This isn't a decline. He's posting the best assist numbers he's averaged in his career.
This is not scoring.
But his points, he's never averaged a lot of points. Rajon Rondo has never averaged a lot of points.
He's the leader in triple doubles at one point.
Triple doesn't mean you average a lot of assists. He still rebounds.
I mean,
you can score 10. You can score 10 points.
Yeah, you can score 10 points.
Westbrook was a good player.
No, but I'm saying, he didn't note Rajon Rondo. But Rajon Rondo's never been a high point output guy. He's always been around the 10-point range, the 11-point range.
Times where we said Rajon Rondo was the best point guard in the league
because of his passing. Yeah, because of his passing. That's my point. That's what the people are saying. They're saying now is it becoming more about who can score the most points. Nobody ever said Rajon Rondo. Everybody's always said Rajon Rondo, you can just sag off of him from free throw line down because he can't shoot. But he somehow gets everybody involved. That's the reason why he was so coveted when he became a free agent and people wanted him. And then he went to Dallas and that didn't work out. But then he came to Sacramento. Now he's averaging 11 and something assists. So now the point that people are making for Rondo is this. Well, my point with Rondo is he's never been a person that's averaged over 15 points. Surprised if he even averaged that much. But yet he's never been regarded because he's always been a high assist man. And he's never been regarded as the best point guard. So scoring has something to do with it. Magic Johnson, I mean, his numbers are similar to that of a John Wall, Chris Paul, and he had to score to do it. People don't. John Stockton is the #1 assist guy in NBA history. And he isn't brought up as the top point guard either, and he was mainly a passer. So
I think it's definitely broken down into categories like this. I feel like John Wall. I feel like he thought of it as an overall kind of thing, but he knows that it's not about like his top 3 argument isn't about him scoring. So I feel like that it's just he's just looking at different categories, but he wants to be top 3 overall.
Players are getting more talented, so it's gonna be easier for them to score.
They are getting more talented, but that's part of the criteria now. If you can shoot, if you can, if you're athletic, that's part of the criteria. One of the reasons why D'Angelo Russell is such a coveted talent is because he can shoot and he has beautiful vision. And we saw yesterday he dropped 39 points. Everybody's talking about his 39 points. Nobody talks about the 3 assists he had. It's all about the points. This league is all about scoring now. The assists are nice to have, but if you can average 30 or so more points, you're going to be sought out by a lot of teams. Rondo was sought out by teams because of his playmaking ability, but at the end of the day, when we talk about top 5, top 3 point guards, his name doesn't come up. Yeah, you know what I mean? And Damian Lillard has never averaged more assists than Rajon Rondo yet. We bring him up
score 50-something points and then automatically.
I mean, I don't feel like Damian Lillard's better than Rondo. I feel like I've always felt like, even though Rondo's been on decline, I just feel like Rondo's always been better because of what he can do on the floor when he's on the floor, the impact he can make as a passer and everything like that.
So you think Damian Lillard is better than Rajon Rondo?
No, I don't think Damian Lillard is better than Rondo.
So you don't think he's better than Rajon?
No, I think Rondo. See, only thing like Damian Lillard has on him, I believe, is just the scoring, and he has a stronger mentality to carry a team because he's clearly done it this year. When everybody left the Celtics, when Rondo was there, I didn't really see that from Rondo.
But doesn't that factor into it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Into who's the better player? Because that's part of the case against John Wall.
That's the thing, because you can have better scoring aspect, and then Rondo has a better assistant aspect, while John Wall has a better defensive aspect. It's kind of like a matchup between, like in NFL when certain teams match up against each other. Where like even the best teams can't beat some of these teams that be under 500 because they're just bad matchups. Yeah. So it kind of works into basketball as well. We can't necessarily rank them as the best players because they're all good and bad in different aspects of their game. So that's definitely difficult to put this in discussion right now with these point guards.
It's understandable. I mean, because I feel like everybody has a different criteria. Because if you don't think Damian Lillard is not better than Rajon Rondo, then what? I wonder why you would think Steph Curry is better than a Russell Westbrook or a Chris Paul. If you think Damian Lillard isn't better than Rajon Rondo, what's your reason for thinking? Well, actually, you know what? Some of this we're gonna have to say. We can save for later on tonight because actually for those watching tonight at 10 p.m. we're gonna have a collaboration with Cup Check and Football's America and another show host on the air that comes in here is Michael High. We're all gonna be having a roundtable discussion with various topics. Talking about a lot of topics: NBA, NFL, MLB. We're gonna be talking about a lot of different things. So everybody, make sure y'all tune in tonight, 10 p.m. It's gonna be something different. We never had the roundtable discussion. It's like the
all-star game of sports debates.
Oh my gosh, all-star game. If anybody has ever watched NBA Inside or something like that, or NBA Open Court, it'll be something like that. You just got the guys sitting around talking about the sports and everything around like that. Horn. Yeah. Well, around the horn is a little different because then you got the guy that's in there doing the clicking point and stuff. The little beep, boop, boop, boop. You got that one dude. But this time we'll all just be around, sitting around, chiming in. So that'll be an interesting question to ask, later on tonight. So Everybody, make sure you tune in 10 p.m. Do not forget. I can't reprimand you if you forget. So I was gonna think of something to say. But as DJ Khaled would say, I tweeted this earlier. As DJ Khaled would say, if you don't tune in, it's like if you're not tuning in now, you played yourself. You played yourself. That's all I can say. You played yourself. I'm not hurting. You're hurting. I'm sorry. Anyways, moving on to the next topic. I'm sorry. But going on to the next topic. Cavaliers point guard Kyrie Irving. A lot of stuff has come out recently ever since Stephen A. Smith came on First Take, ESPN First Take, and said that pretty much Kyrie Irving, Cleveland isn't the ideal place for him to be playing in. You know, in his eyes, is not the ideal situation. And you kind of wonder if could be some factual proof to it, because Kyrie kind of talked on it yesterday, and he pretty much said that, you know, that's his dust in the wind or whatever. You know, he kind of brushed it off. He didn't discredit Stephen A. Smith's statement, but he kind of just, did as most players would do. When you're under contract to the organization, they're going to come out and say, darn right, I don't want to be here. You're gonna give your PC answer and keep it moving. But it kind of makes us ask the question: is Kyrie Irving the right point guard for the Cavaliers? Because throughout his tenure, before LeBron James came there, the Cavaliers have been a lottery team each and every season since they drafted Kyrie Irving, who was supposed to be the franchise player until LeBron James came back. So is the question is it valid? So we'll ask these guys to see what they think. Rashad, what do you think? You think Kyrie Irving is the right point guard for the Cavaliers?
No point guard where LeBron is the right point guard. It's clear and simple. There's no point guard wherever LeBron is. And this is not even because, because like you said, even when LeBron wasn't there, Kyrie was the Cavaliers was a lottery team every year with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving did his thing every year, each and every year. Kyrie Irving had no help those years.
Mm-hmm.
So now you bring in help, but you bring in somebody like LeBron, who can at times, when he feels like he needs to be ball dominant and run the point forward position. No point guard's going to work in that. Matthew Dellavedova doesn't fit in there. Mario Chalmers didn't fit in with the Heat because it's just LeBron. I'm not saying LeBron is a negative influence on the point guard position, but I just feel like everywhere you go, it's going to be difficult to find the perfect point guard to fit in a situation where LeBron needs him to, because at times LeBron is going to run that point forward position, and then that point guard position gets put to the side. Kyrie Irving still averages great numbers for what he does, but it's just anywhere LeBron is at, it's just that point guard. Anywhere that point guard I just don't feel like is a good point guard for the system anymore.
All right, from the viewers watching, let me give Kyrie's actual stats since I forgot to do that. Kyrie's averaging this season, he's averaging 21 point, or last season when LeBron first returned back to Cleveland, he was averaging 21.7 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. He was shooting 41% from 3-point range. And right now he's averaging 19 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. Before LeBron came, in Kyrie's rookie year, he averaged 18.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 5.4 assists. Kyrie's sophomore season, he averaged 22.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 5.9 assists. And then in his third season, he averaged 20.8 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. So those are his numbers, just for people out there that didn't know.
Can I say something about those numbers as well?
For the third year, 6.1 assists.
Can I say something about those numbers as well? Both of his years when he's under 20 points, he came off injury both of those years. He just came out of college his rookie year, fresh off the ACL injury. And then this season, he came halfway through the season off of his injury then. So his numbers are solid for when he's healthy.
He averages about 21 points a game when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Colin.
To note what Rashad was saying earlier, I kind of agree that Kyrie doesn't fit into the scheme of things of Cleveland when LeBron's there, but I don't feel like that he takes over that point guard position. I feel like there can be a point guard to come into Cleveland and work well with LeBron. More so a playmaker, somebody who can get LeBron the ball in more pivotal times, but can also shoot. So who has good scoring ability or capability, and also who isn't going to be stingy with the ball. Well, not stingy so much with the ball, but is willing to give the ball up to other players so they can get their points. Mm-hmm. So I feel like more so a playmaker. If Kyrie was somewhat that, or more so that, then it will work better in the scheme of Cleveland, because then you can pull the pressure off of because Kyrie does pull pressure off of LeBron sometimes because of his great scoring, but then they can also pressure him as well, and then he may not be able to get the ball off or make good defensive plays that'll help give LeBron like his positioning on the court.
Brady, can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Khalid,
Yeah.
you said you need to find a point guard that's a great scorer.
No. I said that has great scoring capabilities.
Great scoring capabilities. And then you just said Kyrie Irving's a great scorer.
Yeah, no.
So why is he not the right?
No. Because I said that he has to also be able to be a playmaker, a great playmaker that's not willing to hold the ball too long.
How many point guards do you think there are in the league that's like that? That's going to score 20 plus points in average.
Chris Paul.
You got money to pay him, man. What's his name?
And him and LeBron. I mean,
technically, it would work.
Yeah.
Love.
If you traded Kyrie Irving for Chris Paul, it would work.
And Doc Rivers want to do that?
No, it's not about. It's not about if Doc Rivers, but it would work. It would work.
Yeah.
Monetarily, they could make it work. If Chris Paul traded straight up Kyrie Irving for Chris Paul, it would work.
That would work for both temes.
I don't know about both. The Clippers, no, because Kyrie Irving is. If
Chris Paul is looking for a better, like, to go further in the playoffs, then it would work well in Cleveland.
Well, Chris Paul loves Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's probably
he loves the la la weather, the la la rain. he loves it all, and so I don't think
he wouldn't move to the East.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be okay moving from Los Angeles to Cleveland, Ohio. Like,
kind of cool.
It's a little bit, it's a little rough out there sometimes. But
a lot rough.
But getting back to what we were talking about, I mean, Kyrie to me, Kyrie's a conundrum because Kyrie has the handle to be he has the handle to be such a great scorer, and he has the handle to be such a great playmaker. Mm-hmm. The only problem is the man is not a great playmaker at all. Dwayne Wade is a shooting guard and has averaged in his career more assists than Kyrie Irving has. And Dwayne Wade's a shooting guard. And you want to talk about talent, Dwayne Wade's teams, arguably earlier in Dwayne Wade's career, some of his teams were a little bit rough. And so when you look at it from that way, he's a shooting guard. So you look at it that with Kyrie and his career, his average assists, his career average of assists is 5.5. Dwayne Wade's is 5.8. And he's, like I say, he's a shooting guard. That's not something that you see every day. And it's one of those things that I think that Kyrie he fits with LeBron because he can shoot. Mm-hmm. He's a good scorer, but the only problem is sometimes Kyrie, in order to get his points, he kind of ball dominates a lot because he starts dancing around a lot, and so it kind of drains out the shot clock kind of thing while he's doing his little moves and everything. He's just kind of dribbling the clock out. So I've heard things people talking about like we were talking. We just said Chris Paul would be a good fit in the Cavalier uniform because then LeBron could play more off ball. Mm-hmm. It won't exhaust him as much. The more Cavaliers will get involved in the action because Chris Paul is a pass first point guard rather than a shoot first point guard. So he would get his, but he's not concerned about getting his. He's concerned about getting everybody else involved. And it seems as though at this point that you can make the case sometimes. It seems as though the Cavaliers are better when LeBron is the point forward for the team rather than when Kyrie is actually running the point, because Kyrie, when he seems to be running the point, sometimes other teammates aren't getting involved sometimes. And then LeBron, even when LeBron's a ball dominant player himself. LeBron dominates the ball as much as anybody in the league. That you want to talk about usage rate. That man LeBron is definitely on the ball a lot, but I feel like with a player like Chris Paul, just like some of the time LeBron was in Miami, he played off the ball some in Miami. Mario Chalmers was a good fit for LeBron because Mario Chalmers he's not a caliber point guard like a Chris Paul or Kyrie Irving, but Mario Chalmers did get everybody involved to an extent along with Dwayne Wade, and it allowed LeBron and Dwayne and Chris Bosh and everybody else to play off the ball. And I mean, when you look at their numbers in contrast, this season Kyrie shooting 45%. Or actually, this is career averages. I'm sorry, this is career averages. His career average, he shoots 45%, 86% from the free throw line, 38%. And like I said, he averaged 5.5 assists. Chris Paul's averages for this season, he averages 19.9 points, 9.6 assists, 38% from three, 89% from the free throw line, and 46% from the field. And he only averages 2 turnovers a game. That's crazy. Kyrie averages 2.7 turnovers. Chris Paul averages 2.6, but Chris Paul averages 4 more assists than Kyrie. And so that's pretty much for every 3 or 3.5 assists. He has a turnover. That's crazy. Chris Paul has the best turnover rate by far of any point guard in the league. So you look at that kind of thing, and you're sitting there, you wonder, man, could that be a situation they could look into? And especially if Kyrie wants to leave. I mean, and
there's rumors of unhappiness in the Cleveland, in the Cleveland franchise. Then yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So you could wonder if you could make the case that Kyrie should leave or shouldn't leave. It's all hearsay because nobody, apparently it's Stephen A. Smith. It's been rumored around for years or for ever since LeBron essentially came back, but nobody reported on it. Nobody said anything about it. So then you sit there and you're like, well, if he's been feeling this way, then what is going on here? And then you hear the things him saying that Tyronn Lue was like LeBron's coach, and him and Tyronn Lue don't exactly have the best connection. So you wonder if Kyrie, but to me, the way LeBron plays, Kyrie kind of fits into that. Would y'all agree with that? Kind of with the way how ball dominant LeBron is, do you think Kyrie kind of fits into what the kind of player LeBron needs, like a player that can score off ball or a player that can relieve him of his duties when he needs it, like not necessarily to be a point guard, but to just kind of be able to
take the pressure off,
provide points in pressure situations. Do you think Kyrie is that guy?
I think it's worked for them. Like definitely is. Kyrie definitely takes that pressure off of LeBron because everybody would be focused on LeBron, but forget that Kyrie can shoot. So I think he definitely pulls off most of the pressure off of LeBron and helps in that offensive presence as well, and also it helps shake up some defenses as well.
I mean, that just shows. I mean, it shows the LeBron's greatness because anybody on that team honestly is available for scoring when LeBron has ball dominant. You got Matthew Dellavedova in the game. He can knock the shot down. He can get to the basket. You got J.R. Smith in the game, who's erratic but still can knock down the basket and get to the hole. Kyrie Irving can. Kevin Love, when he stopped being scared like he's been doing lately, I don't know what's good with him. I mean, he's just standing there in the corner looking at the dude. So, I mean, when LeBron's control the ball, that's how you show how much attention he gets.
So, is y'all final vote Kyrie, yay or nay?
I don't think any point guard is good.
None of them.
None of them.
Not one.
Not Kyrie in Cleveland.
Even if Chris Paul is there, I still see LeBron. I just don't see.
But what is it about LeBron James that you don't think that he can fit for point guard?
It's just like his mindset. He feels like he's better suited if he's controlling the ball more than the point guard is.
But could you argue that he has never had a point? You could argue the fact that he's never had a point guard with his playmaking ability. Yeah. So why wouldn't he feel as though he's the better point guard option?
Because they're still point guards though. They made it to the league for a reason as point guards.
But if they're not doing their playmaking,
no. But I'm saying they did make it to the league as point guards. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The thing is, if you're a better point guard option than them,
so what makes you think LeBron won't think he's a better point guard option than Chris Paul in Cleveland?
Because Chris Paul has shown that he's a better playmaker than LeBron, or just as good. Chris Paul has almost every season.
Chris Paul over his career has averaged a good amount of assists.
And that's the thing. Chris Paul has shown that that's the thing. When you have a body of work and show it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, when you have a body of work and like Chris Paul, I don't think Chris Paul has even averaged, or he's never averaged under 8 assists in his career. And you could say that Chris Paul's had some sketch teams in the past.
Yeah. And that's where he made it work. But can you honestly say it's not easier for him to get assists in Los Angeles than it was for New Orleans?
No, it is easier because he has better talent.
Yeah. A lot of his shots come from oops. A lot of his assists come from alley-oops.
That's because of his playmaking ability.
That wouldn't happen in Cleveland.
Why wouldn't
you think so?
I mean, nobody's going up and get oops as frequently as Blake Griffin and DeAndre.
Well, I mean, of course not as those guys, but you can still get oops with LeBron.
But it's not going to be a significant amount. Especially if LeBron.
That's because he doesn't have another person
really
that can
as it would be a Tristan Thompson or Timothy Mozgov type player.
But that's the thing, we've never seen LeBron for point guard with the playmaking ability to see him in that role.
You see him running a pick and roll to the post.
LeBron played. LeBron did it in Miami. He did it in Miami.
As the fact that how DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin do it.
No, because DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin are post players, so of course they're going to be down there. But LeBron can run that role. He did it in Miami. He's shown that he could do it.
That many moves coming from Timothy Mozgov and Tristan Thompson.
Not as much as those guys. But Chris Paul doesn't need.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. You're right. He doesn't need it. I completely understand. I completely agree. He doesn't need it, but a lot of assists do come from that now.
But Chris Paul averaged that many assists even in New Orleans,
and I just gave him credit for that.
But that's what I'm saying. So we can't say that
even
oops are the reason why, because it's making it a lot easier. But he still did it without the oops. That's the point. He's shown that even without alley oops, that he still gets assists even before he got to the Clippers. He got assists through Peja Stojakovic, through David West, through Tyson Chandler, through whoever you want to name. He got assists through different guys without having to do alley-oops. Half time his passes would be little check-offs and dump downs. Chris Paul, his playmaking ability is not just alley-oops. Yeah, alley-oops are just a product. Either way, alley-oop is just a more athletic version of an open layup. He creates that off his pick and roll. If that's not an alley-oop, that's still just an open layup for a big guy. Alley-oop isn't exactly a more higher. It's just an alley-oop because they're that athletic, so it turns into an alley-oop. But if you have a less athletic guy, if you have a Timothy Mozgov, that could still be alley-oop, or it could just be a little dump down pass and the guy just dunks it in or layup.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me just some of Chris Paul's oops are just throwing it up there, and DeAndre Jordan.
No, but he wouldn't throw. I'm telling you that he wouldn't just throw it up there. And
a lot of those,
but you still would. He would just pass it off, just like the Warriors do with Andrew Bogut and Festus Ezeli and Draymond Green. He would just dump it off. He doesn't need to lob every single pass up.
When they run that, they don't average as many assists as Chris Paul. I'm not taking away from what Chris Paul does. I'm just saying what's gonna be different in Cleveland than it would be in Los Angeles for Chris Paul. It's not gonna be the same.
It's not gonna be the same.
And he was in New Orleans, he was a lot younger too.
He was a lot younger, but you can argue that with better talent, your years aren't as utilized. You play to lighter years than when you're younger playing with harder talent. You have to work a lot harder. He doesn't have to work as hard to make the most of his better talent. When you're playing with
good talent,
you know what I mean? If you're playing with players that can play, that are accustomed to playing off ball with a LeBron James, think about it. If he went to Cleveland, he would just have snipers everywhere. And the LeBron can, is constantly moving to the basket. If he's playing off ball, like we saw with him and Dwayne Wade, and then you have Kevin Love.
Kevin Love can get more open shots.
I mean, Kevin Love get open shots now. LeBron's giving him some open shots.
And so he would make use of that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at his numbers. Chris Paul averaged his highest amount of assists in New Orleans.
Yeah, I told you I'm not taking away from what he did.
I get what you're. I get what you're saying. You're not taking away from. But what you're saying to me, I'm not getting it because you're saying that
he still wouldn't fit in.
You're saying that if you take away his alley oops, he's not going to have his alley oops and stuff anymore. But what my case is, he doesn't need to have the alley oops to be Chris Paul.
But do you remember how dangerous Chris Paul was going to the basket when he was in New Orleans?
Yeah,
he's not the same. Like he's not
as dangerous.
He's not as he was in New Orleans.
Leave him open at the 3-point line.
And everything like that.
Leave him open at the 3-point line.
Huh?
I said leave him open at the 3-point line.
Paul's not as dangerous.
No, he's not as dangerous going to the basket as he was in New Orleans. Chris Paul getting old. Chris Paul is not as fast as he was. Chris Paul is
not as fast, but he's still just as crafty.
He's just as crafty, but
he's more polished too.
Attack the basket in New Orleans.
But Chris Paul, just because you get older doesn't mean that you all of a sudden are not a threat going towards the basket.
He wasn't a threat. I said he's not as dangerous as he was in New Orleans.
But he's still Chris Paul is one of the best pick and roll manipulators in the game. So when he comes off that pick, he can hit the mid range. He can go up for the layup. And
so are you just saying? I'm saying he's not dangerous. I said he's not as dangerous.
I didn't. I just said he's.
So you're saying he runs off the pick and roll?
No, I'm giving you reason.
He couldn't do stuff like that anymore. I just said he's not as dangerous anymore.
For sure, I'm giving you examples.
So you're saying the New Orleans?
Like, what are you not? Are you not listening to me?
You're not listening to me.
I am listening. How am I even disagree with? I'm just giving you examples of how he still is dangerous as an older point guard. So when he goes to the basket,
you hear what you just said though. You said I'm giving you examples of how he's still dangerous.
No, I'm saying still as dangerous as he was when he's younger. Because if that's the case, then what made Kobe Bryant when Kobe Bryant was averaging still 27 points in his prime, and he was still dangerous falling out of his prime actually. And he was still dangerous going to the basket. He wasn't going to dunk on people, but he was still as dangerous. You adjust your game. Yeah, you adjust your game as you get older, so that your game, you're still as lethal as a player when you get older. When Russell Westbrook gets older, he's going to have to adjust his game. We've seen LeBron has to adjust his game as he's gone older. Kobe Bryant did it. Chris Paul has been doing it. We've seen it from Chris Paul used to go to the lane and get attacked. Dwayne Wade especially has done it. We see Dwayne Wade isn't the Flash anymore, but he's adjusted his game and still shoots a high field goal percentage with his adjustments. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you're saying that he's not dangerous going to the basket. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that he's still just as effective because as you get older, these players know how to adjust their game and become more craftier as their age as they get older with their age. Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? Just it's kind of like Tony Parker. Tony Parker's not the same young guy that he was when he was he used to be San Antonio when he was younger, but now Tony Parker's changed his game and relies more on that mid-range jumper, but he's still dangerous because he's knocks down the mid-range jumper at a better clip than he did when he was younger. Just like players like Derrick Rose now and other guys are gonna have to adjust their game with as your explosiveness goes down, your quickness goes. I mean, that's part of what makes great players great. But I mean, I can understand what you're saying though. I mean, if you feel as though the lobs aren't, the lobs are going to be taken away, and he's not going to be as effective in Cleveland. But we can talk about that later on tonight, actually. But going on to the next topic, actually, Tom Brady recently just signed, yesterday, just got a 2-year extension, so he'll be signed with the Patriots to the 2019 season. So that would make him the oldest 10-year quarterback at the age of 42 in the NFL. And he would join a short list of players, Jackie Slater and Darryl Green, as players to be with the NFL franchise for 20 years. So, guys, what do you guys think about this contract extension for Tom Brady? Do you think he'll last through the extension? Because we've seen it as with other quarterbacks like Peyton Manning. You see the play drop off. So, do you think Tom Brady will live up to this extension? Kyle, let's start with you. What do you think?
The thing about Tom Brady is the man's been he's a great quarterback, and he's been a great quarterback even when he's about to turn 39 this year. So even at the same age as Peyton Manning, I'd still take him over Peyton Manning at this point, but that's only because Peyton Manning has been injured. I feel like sometimes the injury definitely hinders the player and their performance, and then the long-term effects after that, because of their old, it really hurts their performance. So I feel like if Peyton Manning can stay relatively healthy for a couple more years, I think they'll be straight. But maybe that last season he might fall off.
You mean Tom Brady?
Yeah, Tom Brady. Did I say Peyton Manning?
You said
I meant Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady. If he stays relatively healthy for like two more years, and I feel like that he'll be straight until like that last season.
All right, Rashad, what do you think?
If I was a Patriots organization, Tom Brady isn't going to go anywhere. Tom Brady is going to stay there regardless. I wouldn't sign him to a 3-year contract. Because what if he do has that decline? What if he do drop off because of age? What if he do gets a significant injury because he's getting older? His body isn't as strong as it used to be. You see what I'm saying? So if you pay him 1 year at a time, I mean, he understands he's coming back. It's a mutual agreement that Tom Brady's not going to go play anywhere else. So I don't think he can hold up for 3 years. Because like each year you practice, you put more strain on your body becomes easier to injure. He's already had problems with his knee. So you see stuff like that, and you're just like, okay, well, what happens if that one big hit comes out of nowhere? You can't guarantee to protect. We already said early in the season that his line wasn't the best, but the system he's in makes him get the ball out quick. What happens that one time he holds the ball a little too long and get hit too hard? It could happen. I mean, it's any quarterback is up to risk. One blindside hit can take you out. So, I think the extension? I understand as the franchise player he is, the extension is well worth it. But I feel like it should have been something like a 1-year contract type thing, constantly going up each year to let him decide if he really wants to play or not. Because he's gonna be able to one to tell how his body's gonna go after each year. Because the older you get, the more your body breaks down.
Well, I think most time with these contracts, I mean, but the star players, they're never really entitled to full-fledged finish out their contracts. I mean, a player like Marshawn Lynch or Tom Brady or those guys, if they feel like they want to step away from the game halftime, they can just be like, I'm out, peace, and they don't have to fulfill their contract obligation, especially if they feel as though their body just can't handle the the punishment of the season anymore. But from what it's looked like, Tom Brady has actually improved as time has went on. I mean, last year he had a passer rating in the 90s, and now this year his passer rating is like 107 or so. And you look at it and you're like, what on earth? Like, what? How? It doesn't make sense. And then you look at what happened to his players. He had over 30 something different offensive lineman combination because his linemen got hurt. Mm-hmm. His wide receivers got hurt. His running back got hurt. His defense got hurt. The man still 36 touchdowns to like 7 interceptions. That's unreal. It doesn't make any sense. So Tom Brady seems to be the one guy that's like, Father Time, hey, looky here. This talk we're gonna have is gonna have to wait for a postponed date, because I'm serious about this next Super Bowl title. You know what I mean? I intend to get it. He wants another one, that's for sure. And it looked like he might have gotten it if it wasn't for all the injuries that his team had. I mean, he had a chance, not taking any credit away from the Denver Broncos, who showed out in the AFC Championship, getting to Tom Brady knocking him down over 20 times. But you could wonder what the Patriots look like. They hadn't endured so much help, because having that final playoff game in New England rather than Denver, especially with the altitude, is a big difference for a team. And then the Patriots essentially got defeated by Denver when they just had too many injuries to endure in the regular season.
And the crazy part about that championship, the AFC Championship game, Tom Brady was coming back at the end.
He was, they just barely lost a 2-point conversion away. Like, they were right there. It's honestly astonishing. And here's a funny stat I found that it says Tom Brady had, for highest TD to interception ratio in a season for quarterbacks age 38 and older, Tom Brady TD to interception ratio is 5.1 to 1. The next best is Brett Favre from 2009 for 4.7 to 1. Then Peyton Manning in 2014, 2.6 to 1. That's wild. 5.1 to 1 for every five touchdowns. You're throwing one interception. That's unreal. Especially Tom Brady doesn't have any AJ Green. He doesn't have Antonio Brown. He doesn't have a Des Bryant. He doesn't have a Martavis Bryant or any of these guys. He has Julian Edelman. He has he does have Rob Gronkowski, best tight end in the game. He has Danny Amendola. But those guys, you would look at those guys and most people would be like, these guys aren't even like the star receivers. They just work with this quarterback in this system. So you look at what Tom Brady's done, even with also offensive line being hurt, it's amazing. So I think he definitely can probably last out these last few years on the contract. I mean, I feel like he signed this extension primarily so they wouldn't take the salary cap hit, because now that he signs the extension, the money from 2016 he would have counted $15 million against the cap. So now that money gets moved into later years, so that allows the Patriots more flexibility to be able to sign their defensive players like Jamie Collins and Dante Hightower and Malcolm Butler that are all due extensions. So that gives them the chance to sign those kind of players. So I definitely feel as though this move was a monetary move for the Patriots and Tom, and then also a move that they feel like Tom Brady can be shored up until 2019. But guys, we're gonna move on to our last topic, and we're gonna talk about the NBA and which conference is actually the best, whether it's the East or the West, because you hear a lot of people saying this year that they feel as though the Eastern Conference is actually better than the Western Conference because of the top teams in the East, or maybe the top teams in the West, or the bottom teams in the East looking better than the bottom teams in the West. So guys, what do y'all think? Rashad, let me hear what you think. Which conference is better, East or West?
The West would wax the East in any type of competition in the NBA. That's all I need to say. That's all I need to say. The West is by far way more dominant than the East. If you can even match the teams up. So the number one team in the West versus number one team in the East, West will win. Number two team, West will win. Number three, all right, now 3, 4, and 5 is where he's like, okay, well, maybe something can happen. Maybe something can happen.
Hold on
maybe something can happen. But I still see a West. Like, yeah.
How about 4, 5, and 6? Or 4 and down, because 3 in the West is OKC against the Celtics.
But see, that's a complete team. That's something.
That's OKC.
That is OKC. But OKC gets in their little mode at the end of the game where they just can't beat anybody type thing at times. And the Celtics are a disciplined team. Now 4, 5, and 6 with our hurt Memphis. Yes, with the hurt Memphis or with a healthy Memphis.
I mean,
we're still saying, are we saying best right now, or are we saying best in the West as an overall?
Let's say best right now.
Grizzlies.
I mean, they essentially got this record.
That Memphis team, then
they essentially got this record being healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but you take out Marcus Gasol, and then that team's vulnerable against anybody. 76ers might give them a run.
They've held up though.
They have held up, but the 76ers give them a run for the money now. Five is Mavericks. Right?
Shoot, you want to talk about healthy? Then what about Miami with Chris Bosh being hurt half the time or being hurt?
He is hurt, but that's a yes. I mean, one, Chris Paul is probably if not the number one, the number two biggest factor of that team, because Chris Bosh can spread the court out, hit the nice jump shot, hit 3-pointers, and can actually control the ball a little bit, have a nice little vision. So that hurts a lot. So if you matching them up, I think it's against the Mavericks, right? In equal spots.
Miami versus the Clippers.
The Clippers without Blake Griffin, right?
Yeah, as it is right now.
The Heat, which is where I'm like, So you.
All right. Well, go on.
So stuff like that. I just feel like the West is overall stronger.
All right, Khaled, what about you?
I'd say the West is better, but the East, there's a bigger fight in the East. And the way the East is set up right now, the number 6, 7, and 8 spots for the playoffs are basically they're at the same point. So they got 31 wins, and the Hornets is ahead because they only have 28 losses. But even the Bulls at number 9 have 30 wins, and the Wizards at 10 has 29 wins. So if throughout the week, throughout the game, like the next few games, any of these people can move up, and they can essentially be at that number 5 or number 6 spot. So I definitely think that it's a bigger fight in the East. And you look at the Western Conference, like after basically the Clippers, like all of the teams below is just, when you get to the playoffs, they're just gonna win. There's gonna be Warriors against the Rockets. That's win for the Warriors. Spurs against Trailblazers. Maybe a good game, but Spurs is gonna beat them. Mavericks and Thunder. Now that's gonna be a good one. I still feel like the Thunder may outlast that 7-game series. And then the Clippers and Grizzlies, with the hurt Grizzlies, I think the Clippers can definitely take it. So the Eastern Conference is looking like a bigger fight right now to see who's going to be at those top spots. But the West is still strong contenders with their top 4.
So before you go, Burnett, so why does the East why does that mean the East is strong? Why doesn't that mean the East is weak?
No, I said the East have a bigger fight.
But I'm saying, because I feel like you're saying they have a bigger fight because that conference is a little more even, a little stronger, kind of, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the teams are basically even each other.
So what does that so how does so you're still saying the West is stronger?
Yeah, of course.
But you're saying that
the East has they have a bigger fight for the playoffs in the East.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I agree that the West is tougher because you look at, if you want to look at it as league-wide records, all the league-wide records are held best in the West. Obviously with Golden State, San Antonio, and whoever, and then the OKC, because right now OKC would be second in the East under Cleveland. That's only because Cleveland has one less loss than them. And then you look at the rest of the records right now. The only team that would be in the playoffs, if you're talking about 8 teams, would be possibly Miami, because they'd be the only team to be ahead. Actually, no, Miami. It'd be
Toronto.
You look at Toronto, Boston, Miami. Then all the next best records come from the West, and then you go to Atlanta. Atlanta is on par with the
Bless you.
Thank you. Atlanta's on par with the records in the
Trailblazers.
Yeah, and then when you look at the East, their bottom 3 teams all have 31 wins, and then the only team in the West that's below that's in the playoffs is the Rockets. So you look at the fight on the western side, it looks as though, we know the top 4 teams in the West are like the best teams in the whole NBA. Essentially, that's the problem. That's the thing with the West. It's like we look at it, like Khaled said, that the challenge with the East is like you look at it, you're like, oh, maybe Toronto could get a fight for, maybe somebody could give somebody a fight, because you never know what's going to happen in the East. Because all of a sudden, Charlotte could upset Boston, Toronto could get upset by Indiana, something like that could happen along those lines, and then teams end up fighting for playoff spots, with Chicago being a game out for a playoff spot and Washington being 2 games out. You never know in the Eastern Conference. People are like neck and neck. And in the West, essentially you pretty much have it solidified. And the West seems to be the home of the stars. The West seems to be the home of the stars, where the East is the home of more of a team ball kind of thing. Because the Western Conference, you have James Harden, you got Steph, Russell, Kevin Durant, all these guys. Where the East is like you have teams like Boston and Atlanta that don't exactly have premier stars, but are pretty much team ball teams that have made their staple on being a team ball team. But that's up to personal opinion. But y'all, that's gonna wrap it up for today's show. That's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. Come to you on WOD Studios, the best in college radio. Tweet us at our Twitter handle at KBR_sports, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at KBR Sports, and also subscribe to the WODU Studios YouTube channel. It's WODU Live, and listen to us on Spreaker, Rabble TV, and iTunes. You can catch our past podcasts on there, and you can also what am I forgetting? Oh yeah. Don't forget to leave. You can leave your comments on Rabble, and also leave your comments on the shows on YouTube, so we can look at your comments and comment back.
You can even tweet us at any time.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And don't forget, you can also join in on the debate at 757-683-4405. And that's gonna wrap. And then don't forget
the all-star of shows.
Yeah, don't forget tonight.
The roundtable.
Yeah, a roundtable event tonight. We're gonna be joining with Cup Check, Football is America, and Michael Hyde show also. And we're gonna have a big sports talk, roundtable kind of thing. We're all going to get together and just talk about sports. So anybody else tune in, make sure you do. Don't play yourself. Please don't, because playing yourself is not a good look. So make sure y'all tune in. All right, y'all have a great day.